For a quantitative study, we would use a method of probability sampling rather than non-probability sampling. This is the case because we want our results to be generalizable to a greater population. In this case, other college students regarding nutrition, not just the students we have in our study. Simple stratified sampling will be used to ensure there's an equal chance for each individual in the population to participate in the study. In this case, it would be our researchers standing out in the hall and asking students passing by if they would like to take a minute of their time to participate in our quick survey on nutrition.
Hi, would you guys like to fill out my survey on nutrition?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When collecting our data, it is vital for our researchers to get informed consent from our participants in the study. This is done by briefing them on what we're doing and making sure they're willing to participate. In designing our study, we'll have to get institutional review board approval for ethical considerations on our study. And our data collection method of choice was a survey.
Just a few things before you start the survey. It's completely anonymous. We ask that you answer honestly, because we're using it for our research project. You don't have to put your name on it. And yeah. So, alright, so if you're all done with your surveys, I'll just collect them now. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Once all the data from our study has been collected, we'll want to organize our data in what's called a frequency table to help us best analyze our results. For the frequency table, there will be 3 sections: variable, frequency, and percent. Under variable, you will list a number of options for each question. Under frequency, you will show how many times the participant answered that answer for each particular question. And finally, under percent, it will show a percentage value representing how often out of 100% that frequency is of our total data. To help analyze our data, once the frequency table has been constructed, the 3 methods of central tendency will then be calculated. The mean, representing the average of our data, the mode, representing the most frequent results, and the median, showing the middle frequency of our data. Following the calculating the central tendency, 3 values of dispersion will then be calculated: the range, variance, and standard deviation of our data. What calculating these values helps us understand is shows us how far away from the mean our data spreads. Statistical analysis would now be done on our data. This would entail finding the p-value. This would result in a value ranging from 0 to 100. A value closer to 100 would show our results being significant, and if our result was closer to 0, it would show our findings are less significant. For a qualitative study, sampling is quite different from a quantitative study, as the participants in a qualitative study are more active participants, as they are there with us to share their knowledge on the subject, in this case, nutrition of college students. The sample sizes are much smaller than a quantitative study, often around 20 people or less. The exact number is determined by achieving something called saturation. This is when the researchers are no longer gathering new information on the subject that will help us gain a further understanding on college nutrition. The sampling is not random, but rather purposeful sampling, since participants are handpicked to participate in our study. Researchers may handpick participants to fill information gaps, such as on age, gender, or cultural backgrounds. At the end of the interview, the researcher may ask participants if they know of any others who are knowledgeable on the subject and may be willing to share their opinions with us. This is called snowballing. Before the study can be done, ethical consideration approval must be given by an institutional review board. And before participants participate in the study, informed consent must be obtained. Our method of data collection we chose was semi-structured interviews. These are interviews guided by a series of open-ended questions that will help us explore the subject's understanding and experiences with the subject matter. These interviews will be recorded for transcription purposes, and these will be transcribed verbatim to allow us to analyze the data at a later point. For confidentiality purposes, any names or personal identifiers given by the subjects can either be removed or replaced.
Hi. Thank you for taking the time and agreeing to answer my questions.
No worries.
Do you mind if I will be videotaping you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I'll be asking you a few questions about your eating behaviors and about your nutrition during school. How would you describe your weight management since you started school?
Overall, it fluctuates. So when I'm really stressed during exam time, I would eat out more and I would exercise less. So then it would go up. But once I'm back on track, it goes back to normal. So I would say it depends on what's going on in school.
Okay, do you usually exercise?
I wasn't as much at the beginning of the semester,
Yeah.
just to kind of see how things would go. But then once I got in the group, I started exercising more.
What is your typical day like?
I'm usually at school at about 7:30 because my classes begin at 8. And then I'm at school until 5. From there, I'll go to work.
What does your breakfast, lunch, and dinner consist of?
I don't normally have breakfast because I don't have time to make breakfast. So, and for lunch, I would grab something at school like pizza. And dinner, I usually have it after work when I get home.
What time usually do you have your dinner?
Around 8, 9
Okay.
p.m. Yeah.
Okay, pretty late.
Yeah.
So what do you think good nutrition is?
Probably just eating a lot of fruit and vegetables.
Okay. Do you do anything special to stay healthy?
I usually do a juice detox, or sometimes I don't eat breakfast because then that makes me less hungry during the day, so then I just don't eat as much, and then that's how you lose weight.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your time.
When analyzing the qualitative data, it will consist of reading the transcripts, looking for trends in the subject's responses. And once these trends have been identified, we can write an interpretive statement to help us express our findings. At the end of the report, describing a description of the sample for aspects such as age, gender, and cultural backgrounds, and can help provide context to our study. This can help anyone trying to use our findings in practice. The final step for us is to disseminate our findings. For the qualitative and quantitative portions, we will gather our findings in a clearly organized written report or an oral presentation, much like this.